Welcome, recommenders. Thank you for joining us. My name is Will Torres, Global Admissions Director here at the Stanford Graduate School of Business. I want to open up by saying thank you on behalf of our applicants. Thank you for the guidance you've provided them, the role modeling, the coaching, mentorship, sponsorship, and now your advocacy for them as they're thinking about continuing their leadership development journey in business school, hopefully here at Stanford. In today's session, we're going to go over a few things that will hopefully be helpful as you're approaching the recommendation. Understanding how it fits in with the broader way that we do admissions here at Stanford, some tips about what makes for an effective letter of endorsement, and then I'll do a quick overview of some frequently asked questions. And if you have any questions beyond, in the email you'll get as a recommender, you're also going to have contact information. Please reach out to us at any time. We are here to support you the way you are supporting your applicants. We want to make this as easy as possible. So understanding the GSB application process can be very helpful because admissions is done different ways in different places around the world. So to situate your letter of recommendation, we practice a holistic review process. That means I am taking into account everything that the applicant submits, including your letter of recommendation, to get an understanding of who they are. What have they done? How have they done it? What are some of the insights, actions, behaviors, and outcomes that have made them leave positive footprints in the spaces they've moved through, personally, professionally, in extracurricular spaces, academically? Everybody does this a little bit differently, and that's what makes this experience so beautiful and such a rich and nuanced conversation here on campus. A few takeaways is that there are no formulas, equations, or algorithms that we use in the admissions process. There are no benchmarks, minimums, cutoffs, or quotas. So kind of one of the questions I get frequently is, how many people do you take from my country or from my industry or from my firm? Rather than thinking about those as admission criteria, those are contextual pieces of information. So no one piece of the application is more or less important than the other. And that contextual information helps us understand, okay, for somebody who might be in investment banking, here is kind of what's normal at that career level. Here are the types of impact that might be more or less common in these spaces, because that might look very different than somebody who might be in the energy and sustainability space or in the education space. We are doing our best to center the individual to understand how they have interacted, engaged with, and made the most of the resources available to them throughout their academic, personal, and professional journeys. So what are we looking for? We're looking for how students think, how they lead, how they see the world. And for folks applying to our one-year master's program for mid and experienced career professionals, our MSX program, how you see your future, this notion of clarity of purpose, I encourage our MBA applicants to think about that as well, to understand what are these visions they have for a future self. What are some different pathways that we can then turn into action steps to start realize that, knowing that there are multiple ways to reach the same destination and different ways for us to meld, merge, and think about what this future you can be. And then working backwards from there, how can business school help them achieve that vision? So notice that these are very broad categories, and that is intentional because there are many ways for folks to demonstrate how they lead. Different competencies in different situations, different skill sets might emerge. And so we want to give ample opportunity both for our applicants as well as you as recommenders to share what does that look like for this individual. So there are multiple parts of the application. Yours as the letter of recommendation is this external view to help situate kind of your experience with them, whether that is in a professional, extracurricular, or some other kind of organizational setting. Help us understand what that looks like for you. What to expect. Applicants are required to submit 2 letters of recommendation. They are going to put that into their application. They will share your contact information with us through their application platform. You will receive an email with information with the questions that we ask everybody, how to submit it. So there will be a link to the submission platform, as well as resources in case you want to learn more or have a question that you need help, whether it's technical or contextual or advice. We're here to support you, as I mentioned. So on the platform, you'll see a few short answer responses to help us understand your relationship with the applicant. There are also going to be some short competency and character trait assessments. These are kind of domains that often roll up into what does leadership look like or what can it look like. There is no expectation that everybody is at the top of everything. Hopefully, this is a realistic reflection of where this individual is from your perspective, given where they are in their career. And there's also going to be the space to upload your letter of recommendation. So this means that you can be working on your recommendation on another document, and then whenever it's ready, you can log on to your platform and submit it through there. And you need to submit it, so please don't forward it to the applicant for them to submit. This needs to be both your work and your submission. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out to us, because in that email, there again, more advice, support systems, including how we can support you technically. Right. So what do we ask? I'm going to paraphrase a little bit here, but some of the most effective letters of support are the ones that, hey, here, so-and-so is the best person we've worked with, and here's why. So that evidence, these examples and anecdotes are going to be where some of the richest source of information for me on the admission side is going to be. We encourage our students to think about this behavioral-based approach. If past behavior is one of the best indicators for future behavior, tell us about a time when. And this is gearing you towards also in this application and the recommendation process. We're encouraging you to think about these examples, anecdotes that are going to support that. So, how has this person performed relative to equally qualified peers? Please provide specific examples. Tell us about a time when there was feedback. What was the circumstances? What was their response? And if there's anything else that we should know. This is pretty open-ended, so let's dig a little bit further into what are some characteristics and categories of detail that are going to be helpful to me on the admissions side. 3 buckets here. So first, examples and anecdotes. I mentioned this earlier, so anything about the insights, actions, behaviors, and outcomes to help substantiate and corroborate your support and endorsement for this individual will always be helpful to me. The next, context and significance. So in your purview of the organization, maybe there's norms and expectations that you understand that you can help communicate to help situate this person's actions, impacts, and outcomes. Also, in case there is anything in the industry, the organization, shifts and changes over time that can further help contextualize what this means. I want to honor and respect that there are many details out there that might be proprietary or confidential. So to the degree that you are comfortable sharing, we always welcome that. Some examples might be changes in organizational structure, especially for organizations or industries where there might be a very common application process or common pipeline into business school. We are in a very dynamic, professional, kind of global landscape. And so if there are changes that'll help us understand what's happening either in your industry or in your organization, always helpful. Some examples of things that I've heard of in this past year are like different hiring processes, hiring or promotion freezes. There might be differences in the way titles are allocated or the nuance of what a quote unquote early promotion might look like. A difference of 6 months may or may not be relevant, depends on that organization. So always helpful, especially if there are nuances or quirks to your organization. Anything that you're able to share with us is always welcome. And then the final category is your observations and assessments. What is your understanding? Okay, having seen how this person has moved through the spaces that you have seen them in, can help us understand this from your perspective. These 3 categories are always incredibly helpful to us. And if there's anything else that you think can help capture kind of the impact in your endorsement, any and all of that is welcome. So high-level overview of some of these frequently asked questions. Can somebody write it and then you sign off? So the answer here is no. The responses should be yours. Effective letters can come in many formats. Some of them come in traditional letters, so to whom it may concern, but others just say responses to the questions, bullet one, bullet two, bullet three. Here's my response to that first question can be effective. So answer in whatever format makes sense for you. Also, given that you might have insights in context or your own observations, other folks might not be able to provide that nuance. So definitely encourage you to take some time, and I honor and respect the time that you are investing into this. Kind of the natural corollary to that question is, what about AI? I've played around with this on the side, and what I've noticed is that often over reliance on AI flattens kind of the detail and the types of information that is actually most helpful to me, kind of as I'm making my admissions recommendations. And so understand everybody has a different familiarity, skill set with AI. So kind of have that in the back of your mind. Kind of as you complete it, maybe take a step back and does it actually convey the details you want? You can always go back and edit from there. Does the letter have to be addressed to Stanford or specifically address Stanford within there? The answer is no. Again, some of those questions that we're asking are open-ended and might be questions that are being asked by other institutions. The common application kind of format, like hopefully this is going to be things that you can then adapt to the different submissions that you are doing, so you don't have to rewrite a fresh one for every single space. We're under no illusion that the individual is only applying to Stanford. If you want to direct it towards Stanford, you're more than welcome to, and you don't have to. That will not be a detractor on behalf of for the students' admission chances. If you're more comfortable writing in a language other than English, you're more than welcome to. In that instance, please submit both the original letter as well as a translation. As long as this translator is not the applicant, you can have anybody provide that for you. So just let us know there. If you can't use your work email, maybe there are privacy protocols at your work, you can use a personal email. Applicants will let us know that in their application, so that is something not to worry about. We can definitely work with you on that. And if you're no longer able to be a recommender, life happens. Let your applicant know, and they can change their recommendation on our side, again, with no negative implications on their chances of admission. So in that instance, we wish you the best on whatever is on your plate at the moment. And the thanks still extends to supporting that individual in their personal and professional development journey. So once again, thank you so much for the time that you are investing in our applicants. How has this person performed relative to equally qualified peers? Tell us about a time when there was feedback. Is there anything else that we should know? Knowing that examples, anecdotes, context, what's the so what or significance of their actions, insights, behaviors in your organization, to your team, to other individuals, to you yourself? And is there anything, reflections on what it's like to work with them? Any and all of that detail is much appreciated, not just here at Stanford GSB, but speaking on behalf of admission officers writ large. Any and all of those details are welcome.